I have semi self-imposed stress going on because I do feel like I have to poop in a little bit, so
Oh
that's
boy. All right, so we'll
stressful in
we'll
of
rush
itself.
right through this episode.
No, no, we'll be fine. I'll just if I have to, I'll just shit right on the air.
As long as I can't smell it, that's all I care about.
Hell yeah. That's dedication, just shitting
I'll,
live on
I'll
the
know
air.
just by you getting quiet and your face turning
Oh
beet
yeah.
red.
Oh yeah. Oh, you'll know.
Yeah, we're live.
You'll know. I eat
Hey,
very spicy food, so it'll be rough. Hi everybody. It's the Dead Air Horror Review Show. It's Chris. It's Topo. How y'all doing?
I should put
Uh,
the mic in front of my mouth. That would probably help. Okay.
yeah, that the buttery tones of your voice.
Hmm.
That mic does sound nice.
Very ASMR.
Yeah, it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very impressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just don't start eating like pickles and shit. I hate that. You want to talk
Pickles
about
and
something
shit.
that stuff that really horrifies me is listening to people eat. I don't understand the appeal.
Specifically pickles or anything crunchy.
Just any food. I just named pickles because that was a popular one that I saw when what is it, ASMR, when that was popular.
Yeah.
It was crunchy food, I guess. I
Hmm.
mean, I love pickles. Don't get me wrong. I
Soft food okay with you?
no, I don't like people eating like full stop. I don't like unless I'm eating. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want anybody else eating. Like I don't like it. I don't want to watch people eat. It seems gross to me. I don't know
Noted.
why.
Noted. Next time we're
Yeah, it's
together.
nasty.
Do I get a
Y-
pass for drinking? Can I drink in your presence?
Drinking is fine.
Okay.
Eating
As
is
long as you
weird.
don't hear a gulp.
Do you like being around people eating? If you're not eating, it's kind of
I'm
odd, right?
honestly indifferent because I feel like that just comes with being human. You have to be around other people eating.
I suppose. Yeah, I guess you're right. Anyway, we watched Stop Motion, uh, a movie that I have watched twice in a week.
Really?
Yeah,
In a
I
week?
well, I watched it
You really
before
wanted
we
to ruin your week, didn't you? But in a good
I
way.
wa oh yeah. I watched it before we recorded last week's episode. And then I suggested we should watch it because like I said, I've been talking about this movie for a couple of weeks. So I watched it beforehand, and then we decided to do it on the show, and I watched it again. And yeah, I watched it twice, and I it's a movie that the reason I want to talk about it is because it really stuck with me. Um I think this is one of those like diamond in the rough type movies. This is a movie that came out to like no fanfare, no real discussion. I mean, it came out in England last year, and then it just finally made its way over here. I think it had a limited theatrical release over here, but I heard really nobody talking about it, and I don't think we will, and it's a shame because I think this movie is incredibly interesting and worth people's time.
It's
So
very
that's why I want to bring
unique.
it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Now I'm gonna go ahead and say this on Front Street, kind of like the last movie we talked about. This is gonna be one of those shows where I don't think we can talk about it without spoiling it. So if you haven't seen the movie, I
and you
would
should.
pause.
You should. You
Yeah,
should definitely
yeah.
see the movie.
If you haven't seen the movie, I would say pause it, pause our show, go watch it. I believe it's available on Amazon Prime to rent. If you don't have access to my Plex server,
Yeah.
but
Just
watch it
become friends with
and then come.
TJ. It's easier and
Yeah,
cheaper.
it's quite simple. The hell was that?
That was my child.
Oh.
Could be my son, I don't know.
Like right on cue, like a blood curdling scream. Like, oh
But
my god!
the podcast is
I
on.
thought I
So I
lived in the
really,
haunted.
you
I
know,
thought I lived in the haunted bordello back here. I didn't know. Um.
uh I
So
trust my wife
anyway,
will take care of it. Yep. Go
so
ahead.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. No, I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to open discussion about it. I hope. I want more eyes on this project because I think this is a pretty special movie, and yeah, that's how we came to this conclusion.
And I'm going
Or
to
at least
spoil this
that's.
for everyone. And I'm going to
Hmm.
say that I'm going to guess before we even get to score that
Hmm.
TJ absolutely loved this movie. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm
Well,
going to say it in the first, couple minutes of this podcast. I'm going to
uh-oh.
guess that TJ is going
Yeah.
to give it a 10. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But don't tell us. Don't tell us.
I
Don't
did
tell us.
watch it twice.
Okay.
That alone, and for anybody that knows me, I'm kind of a one and done kind of person. So if I watch any movie multiple times, it's a pretty good indication how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I have currently seen Dune Part 2 3 times already, so that shows you how much I like that movie.
Wow.
See, I watch other stuff other than horror movies,
I can't tell you
so
how excited I am to watch Dune. I just watched
it's
the
excellent.
first Dune, well, the newer Dune, 2021
Mhm,
Dune in its entirety.
mhm.
I watched it in bits
It's
uh
so good.
last year. It is so goddamn good. I just
Watch Dune 2 in the biggest, loudest theater you can
yeah.
possibly get into. It'll be worth your
We
time.
have like a
It's
cutesy little indie theater here in town, but it's
that's cool.
not I feel like Dune 2 is the kind of movie you have to
No,
see
you wanna try to
with
go see it in, like, IMAX or
IMAX.
something, but anyway, let's talk about the movie.
Let's
Let's
do
talk
it.
about the movie at hand. We got topics. First impressions. Chris, go ahead. I've dominated the beginning of this episode. Also, we need
The
the
clock?
timer.
The
Yes.
clock? All right, the countdown clock. Give me a
It's
second.
the poop counter.
um, let's reset it. Here we go. Boom. We
I
got
ate
30
at
exactly
Applebee's for
30
lunch.
minutes. If we
I
go
ate
beyond
it.
30 minutes, TJ explodes.
I will poop my pants.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. He's going
I
to
will have
explode
to
in 5 minutes regardless.
I I will have to buy a
TJ.
new computer chair. My computer chair will be rocked.
You have a splatter guard on the front side of your computer.
Oh,
What?
oh,
Well,
that's
I
so
mean, who cares
nasty.
about the gaming
Oh,
chair? To be quite honest, it's a computer that you
yeah,
really.
true. That's fair.
Um,
That's a fair point.
yeah. First impressions. Very unique movie. I really loved it. I thought that the acting was stellar. It was disturbing, like you kind of had told me before I watched it. Like this is something that's going to stick with you, and it certainly did. Um,
And I think right from the jump, like you briefly just showed the first scene you see in the movie with that
yeah,
strobe lighting effect and like her face, and I think that alone, like right away, is very, very striking. Like
yeah.
I was like, you know how we always talk about the TJ rule. Like I
Um,
was in the first 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, already in. Like,
yeah,
because also like it's clever, right? Because this movie is about stop motion animation. So what are you doing here? You are isolating her face one frame at a time,
right.
just like stop motion. It's fucking brilliant. Like it's incredible. Continue. I'm sorry.
Um, I I like the fact that who is the mother in this? I've seen her elsewhere, but I couldn't put my finger
I
on it.
wasn't familiar with really anybody in this movie.
Familiar to me. It's
She's good though. She's for
yeah,
the
she's not in
brief
it
time
much,
that she's
but
in the movie. She has quite a presence.
yeah, she's pretty haunting.
Oh my god, absolutely.
I the reason I really like this film is because it's one of those movies that I watch. I feel like you don't have to do this too often, or correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have to read between the lines too much or read too deeply into the characters. You get what you get, and it's it's fairly in your face and straightforward.
I think there are deeper themes in the film. Like I
And no,
think
that's
that
what I'm
especially
saying. That so
yeah,
that was
yeah,
my point. This one
yeah. Oh, no,
is
I'm sorry. Yeah,
unlike
sure, sure.
most ones I watch, or at least that we
Sure. No, I
review.
misunderstood you. Yes, of
Yeah,
course. It's the opposite of
the
that. Yeah.
opposite, right? So this one, I was kind of like, and we'll get into this later. Like, who is this little girl? Like, what does she represent? How does she tie in to the protagonist's role in this? And more importantly, like, is she good or bad? Like, I was really kind of attached to what that one role
And
was of that
the
little
little
girl.
girl, if we're going to talk about acting in this movie, that little girl is fantastic.
She is so good.
She's
Yeah,
steals the show. She's like the best part of the movie, I
yeah,
think. I mean, the lead actress, she's also very good. Like I think that this movie is hinged on some really strong performances throughout, but I think that little girl is the best, like the best actor in the whole movie. I think she's great
yeah.
in the role.
And when it came to the practical effects, well, let's talk about the actual stop motion characters themselves.
Oh my god.
I felt like
Amazing.
they must have created those on acid, and they they probably found the most like they probably had somebody on set or hired one of their friends, like the most disturbed one they knew, and be like,
It's
could you create one of these out of just meat? Like
yeah,
do your best, but just make it look weird. And kudos to whoever made it, because for me that was one of the most
Oh my god. And
terrifying parts of the
they
movie.
kept upping the ante, right?
Yeah,
Like the very first uh puppets that you see are pretty disturbing looking. The cyclopses that you see,
yeah,
like they're already kind of weird and unsettling. And then they just keep getting more and more disturbing. And I think like the movie taps into something that's kind of interesting where I feel like stop motion in and of itself is kind of creepy.
yeah.
Like I love
The
stop motion
movements,
animation.
especially, it's
Right.
because it's
But like
unnatural.
even if you watch like old stop motion like Gumby and Pokey, there's something kind of unwholesome about just how they look and how they react to things.
Yeah,
And there is something unsettling. And I think this movie taps into that. And I don't know if you bothered to look at the director's IMDb,
I didn't.
but this is his first, at least, and I could be wrong. So if at least from the research, the brief research that I did on IMDb, this appears to be his first live action film. He had only made stop motion films
Really?
before this.
Oh, okay, well, that
So I
makes
think
total
that's
sense.
kind of wild in general. Like that's great. He took
Yeah.
that background and applied it to this movie in a super creative way. Um but yeah,
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
in
what were
on
your first
this.
impressions of this?
Well, first off, just to, and I know I do this a lot, but I mean, this is genuinely my first impression. I saw this fucking, oh, this,
Those
wait, which way? Which way? Is this way?
Oh, that way.
Oh, no, no. Is this, oh, God. Anyway, the poster, I'm
For
a
those of
goofy
you that
footer.
can't see, we're trying to get our left and rights
Yes, it's right.
correct.
This
To
poster
point
right
towards
there.
the poster in the middle.
Yes, this poster right there.
Yeah.
Um, I saw that poster and automatically I was like, "Oh, like
Yeah.
that poster is fantastic. Like
Yep.
that poster is fucking awesome. What the fuck is that thing in their head? Why is like like why is her face an egg?" Like
Yeah.
I was in. And then I saw the trailer, and the trailer's very good, and the trailer's very brief. And I was already like, okay, I'm even more fucking in. And then I've been dying to see this fucking movie. And again, like the intro scene is like the strobe light scene is so powerful and like what it's trying to convey. And it's one of those things where upon a second viewing, it's even more powerful because again, like to me anyway, I think it's illustrating immediately and visually to the audience that our main character is no different than any of the puppets that she's manipulating throughout the whole movie. And they hammer that fact home a lot in the film, but like it tells you that in the opening scene. And I think that's pretty incredible. But yeah, I eat this kind of shit up, man. This is the kind of stuff that I like because it's super creative. It's low budget. It's visually stunning. Like some of the imagery in this movie, I it sticks with me so bad. Like the scene where the lead character feels like the Ash Man is following her, and then you just see that eye in the fucking door.
Hmm.
Holy shit, man! And
Yeah.
that's not even like that. I mean, it's not like it's graphic or violent. It's just like it's so fucking jarring. And this movie doesn't rely, like I just got home from watching Immaculate, and that's a movie that's like corny as hell and relies on jump scares, and it's just not very good. And this movie doesn't do that. This movie does shit like this, where
Right.
you're like, I don't
Like
I
a
want to turn the TV off.
it's
I am
like it looks
fucking
like a
scared.
puppet version of Tom Hanks
Dude, this scene was
in
so
the
good.
scariest way
Like
possible.
and the girl with the eyes drawn on her eyelids and
Yeah.
like this is so good. Like this shit. Oh, num 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 num.
Eat it up,
I
DJ.
fucking
Mm.
I love this kind of stuff, man. Like it's you probably you at home probably get sick of me saying this, but I feel like so many movies are just devoid of creativity, right? There's just this lack of creativity and everything seems to be kind of formulaic. And something like this comes out that is insanely creative in every way, right? Like the storytelling is creative. The actual plot is fucking creative. Like it's just a very you can tell that this filmmaker had a distinct vision that he wanted to put on screen or they wanted to put on screen and they accomplished it, right? Like it is unlike it's very unique. And I give uniqueness like the biggest scores cuz I I get I mean, we watch movies every week, right? Like,
Yeah.
how many times can you watch something like fucking Night Swim? You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, give me something that's different. Give me something that's bold, and give me something that, shows me shit I've never seen before. To incorporate live action with the stop motion, because we haven't really even mentioned it. There's a lot of stop motion in this film, and it's done really well. And again, it's just so fucking interesting and unique. And I don't know, man.
Well, how do you feel about stop motion in general? Are you a fan?
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I'm a huge fan. In fact, last year there's a movie I would recommend. You might not like it. Your mileage may vary, but there's a movie called Mad God.
Okay. I thought you were
Um,
going to mention that, and I need to give that a rewatch because on first viewing I wasn't into it.
well, it's not. The problem is, Chris, it's not like a real movie. Like, let me rephrase that. It is. It has almost no narrative, right?
Yeah.
But it is visually arresting. Like, it is, and it's even more interesting because when you read about that movie, is one guy, Phil Tippett. He
Yeah.
spent 30 years making that movie.
Yeah. Phil
30
Tippett is
fucking
a
years.
legend in
Oh,
stop
he
motion.
did like huge, not only stop motion animation, but he did like VFX for like he did the Hoth scene in Empire Strikes Back, for
Mhm.
God's sakes. Like, he did Ed 209 and the RoboCop. Like, the guy's a legend. And
Yeah.
I thought,
Google him.
like, while Mad God, again, like, it's a tough sit. It's a perfect sit to put on like in the background. But I think like it is. I thought it was like an achievement. Like, I think visually, it's got some of the most interesting visuals I've ever seen. And again, like, I can understand people not getting into it because again, it's not the easiest movie to just sit down and watch.
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but I mean, there really is like barely a narrative in the whole thing.
It's easier
But like,
to digest if you're going there just for like a visual dinner. You know what I
if
mean?
you
Like if you're
if
going
you
there,
played Mad God against like some music, like if you saw like a live band like
yeah.
score Mad God, it would be incredible. That experience would be amazing. Like, or another example of stop motion that I really like, and it reminded me of this movie reminded me of that, is the old Tool videos.
Oh yeah.
Um, which
Sober.
I believe Sober and Prison Sex. Remember
Yep.
that had a stop motion video too. I believe the bass player did the animations for those, if
No,
I'm not mistaken, or wasn't it?
it was Adam, the guitarist.
Oh, Adam Jones.
Yeah,
Adam Jones is
yeah.
the VFX guy. That's right, and he worked at ILM, right?
Yep.
Like, I think Adam Jones worked at.
The
He worked on like
Stan
Jurassic
Winston
Park.
school.
Wow. Yeah. I always think it was the bass player. Yeah, it's Adam Jones, and not Baltimore Oriole
Yeah, he
Adam
was a
Jones.
part of, if I'm not mistaken,
I think Jurassic Park.
Terminator and
Wow.
Alien.
That probably. I mean, that's Stan
Or not
Winston's, but
Aliens. Uh
that's fucking awesome.
yeah.
But those Tool videos, I mean, I think that specifically the puppet that you see in her face in there, the girl, that reminded me a lot of like the characters in Sober and Prison Sex, like that
Yeah.
weird sort of like blanked face, like barely there person. There's something that's so unsettling about a face that you kind of take away everything except the most basic identifiers of a face, right? Like, it barely has eyes, it has a nose, and it has like this poorly sad misshapen mouth and
Just
hair. Like,
damaged.
it,
She
and
just
she
looks
is damaged.
damaged and
Again, it's
yeah.
a brilliant visual metaphor too, because our lead character is insanely damaged,
Yeah.
and obviously the puppet is the main character. Like, it mirrors her story, which I thought was great. I'm just this is like the Chris Farley TJ episode, because I'm just gonna gush about this movie. I have one minor complaint. I have one tiny minor complaint about the whole damn movie,
All
and
right, hit
it's
me.
a very nitpicky
Here.
complaint. I don't I while I love the little girl, I think it's revealed way too early that she doesn't really exist.
Really? Because I did
Yeah.
not get that at
Oh,
first.
because I mean, she I think it's right after that party scene. Like, she's basically like, "Well, I'm you," and it's like, eh.
But she didn't
Like,
say
I
it
didn't.
quite like that. She
She more or less does. Like, there's a dialogue line where she's basically like, "Well, you already know," or something like that. I didn't hate it. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think it's kind of obvious,
Yeah,
but like, I wish they kind of would have kept. I would have actually been fine if they never said it. But that scene when we just saw it briefly, it's the party scene. The scene where the little girl is done up like a clown. Like,
yeah,
there's something about that makeup that was cool. Like, again, that little girl had a lot of presence. I thought she did an amazing job.
yeah. And it makes way more sense once you know that it is a direct reflection of the main
Well,
character.
Well,
You know,
everything is, right? And then the to me, the what I took away from the story is I don't think that the main character doesn't understand who she is ever, right? She is just a reflection of her mother.
she's a
And
mess.
that's where that line, when the puppet's done its work, it goes back in the box. So like she's just this shallow, she is this shallow reflection of her mother. And I feel like this is a movie about a character that's starting to realize that she's basically not a person. Like, because of her trauma and abuse, she
A
she doesn't
shell.
know she doesn't know how to exist. So she basically doesn't at the end of the movie. Like, it
That kind of
again,
makes sense why the poster is the way it is. You know, she's just a
yes.
shell of a being, and
Well,
her face
yeah,
reflects that on the poster itself. It's like it's a like she's cracked, she's fractured, and the only
yes.
thing like that her only identity
And
is
look
this
how
stop
great
motion.
not to interrupt you, but like
Yeah,
look how great this looks. Like the fucking
this monster right here
that
is
weird like
terrifying.
what do they call it? Like morgue
Ashman.
wax or something?
Oh,
No, the stuff that they
mortuary
use.
wax.
Oh, and I love this. I love. Oh my god. Oh, so good. If you're listening to this at home, this is terrible. But
The
this
best parts
particular
of this
scene,
movie were the stop motion. I mean, I know. Listen, it's
I
called stop
agree.
motion. There's a lot of stop motion in it.
But
I wish
this,
there was
like
more.
this looks so good.
Yeah,
And then when you find out where that this is by the end of the movie, you're like, oh fuck. Like,
yeah.
I
We
don't
we
know.
don't
I
have to
think
give that away. I don't think, do we?
no, no, I don't
Yeah,
think so. No, we don't have to give anything away. I just find this movie so fucking refreshing and interesting, and I loved a lot of the VFX. Like, there's a scene where she's like, our main character's like picking at her leg, and then she realizes that her leg is that clay that she forms all the characters at. And again, it's a very nail on the head metaphor, but I fucking love it. I think it works really well. Like, it's it's fucking awesome. Like,
now, hold on. What do you make of this, TJ? Stand
if you're
by.
gonna ask me about
Uh,
the egg that
no,
she puts in,
I wouldn't do that, TJ. Why
well,
would I?
there's a
Oops,
this, yeah, the egg,
oops.
yeah. I've watched this twice,
Yeah,
and I'm still a little confused
it
as to
was at the
what the egg.
very beginning in like the title card sequence, and then it
It's
reappears here.
I don't understand what the metaphor is for the egg.
Okay.
I've watched it twice, and I kind of watched it the second time trying to figure out,
Well, I'm glad I'm not
like,
the only one then. Okay.
no, I didn't understand the metaphor of the egg. I mean, obviously, it's probably representing like birth or rebirth in some capacity, but I don't get it, and I feel like someone's going to point it out, and I'm going to feel like an idiot for not understanding this fucking scene. Jesus Christ. So somebody asked me if this movie was violent, right? Because I said it was super disturbing, and I'm like, no, it's not violent. And then I thought about this scene, I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
It's super fucking disgusting.
There's two scenes in this movie that are incredibly
This was
disturbing. This was the
harrowing.
first one, I would say.
This
Um,
was so gross. I had such a hard time. Ugh, I can't even watch it now. We're gonna
but the
get
scene that
fucking.
immediately, I guess you could say it's the same scene, but what the series of events that directly follow what happens
Oh
here
yeah, 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 yeah.
is intense and it is gory. Like you are like, holy shit. Uh Maybe
Yeah,
you
up
saw it
till that
coming. You
point,
can kind of see it coming,
up
but
till that point, it's not very gory. It's more disturbing based on the
yeah,
puppets and the overall just tone of everything. I also I love how this movie is shot. Like, it's very like the color palette of this movie is very cold,
yeah,
and it's not, the problem that a lot of movies have when they're trying to establish like a visual tone nowadays is that they add too many like filters, and everything kind of looks either orange or blue or green. This movie just had a cool tone throughout the whole thing, and it's very like detached,
Yeah.
And I like that a lot without it being overstated. I think what it was doing, at least the way what I took from the film, is that I think again it's trying to show the alienation the main character has from everything. You know what I mean? And her trying to fit in and trying to be a normal person is just that. She's just trying. She doesn't know what she's doing because she doesn't really exist outside of her mother. Then her mother dies and it's like she's gone. Like she's just the puppet without the person holding the strings. And I think that's fascinating. And
So
again,
yeah.
on a deeper level, it's speaking to generational trauma and that kind of thing. And that it's funny. I almost my letterbox review was almost um I think the basis for all good horror is having a horrible relationship with your mother because like Hereditary is this I mean like Bo is afraid is this like I don't know what happened with like I have a great relationship with my mom, so maybe that's why my life isn't horrific. I don't know, but
Yeah, I was gonna add on about the color choice in this movie. The
hmm
palette itself is really off-putting for a reason, and having a background in production myself, like you would never use yellow or green gels, rarely if
sure, sure.
ever, unless you wanted to make somebody look sick or sickly,
Yeah,
because that's certainly what it'll do. And they're each color on their own are kind of off-putting, and then you put them together anywhere and it makes it even worse.
yeah.
They're not very warm, welcoming uh colors, and the whole movie is yellow highlights, green shadows, what have you. And it's like the perfect choice for this movie, to be quite
But
honest. Like,
also
it's
not like oversaturated
no, not at
anymore. Like
all.
it's very
Yeah.
subtly done.
Yeah.
Like uh-oh, I
Oops, sorry.
disappeared. That's fine.
There you go.
Nope.
Oh god.
Well, I'm glad you noticed the color as well because I felt
Yeah.
like it was one thing that like stood out. Like it was a very strong element of the entire presentation for me.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with again, like we've talked about this with a few movies. This is this guy's first feature, man. Like these movies come out with such confidence now. Like we talked about Watcher, and that movie was a first film. And I know that they have a background with stop motion filming and that kind of thing. But I would say that jumping to live action is probably, and I wouldn't know, I'm just guessing. I would imagine the jump from live action to or from stop motion to live action is a pretty
Stop motion is
substantial
such a
jump.
controlled environment. You're
Yeah,
you're you're
absolutely.
literally making your world, whereas in like live action, you're dealing with real humans, real personalities that it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see where it might be a difficult transition from being a stop motion director to a live action director. But if this director's first time doing it, Robert Morgan name,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
It's
well
amazing.
done.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I
you did
can't wait to
it.
see what
You did
they
it.
make after this. I also think there's a fun little side quest in this movie where it's a slight jab at how corporate America co-ops art and like makes it like dumbs it down. There's a scene where her friend is like a commercial animator
Hmm.
and like literally works for a commercial like an advertisement company and there's a scene where she goes in and she sees basically her idea getting stolen and she's like, oh, I just took it and I changed it a little bit, and I was like,
Yeah.
and they don't really focus on
I
it
was
that
gonna
much.
give you the credit, I think is what she said,
Right,
or I was gonna
right.
pay you.
And it's like that was like a fun little, you can tell that was probably a dig from the filmmaker at like shit he's probably dealt with, and like
Yeah.
that's what happens with like creative people. They get co-opted by these fucking companies and then their art is just wrung out. And
Or yeah,
that's why you can
I
get
thought you would
that's why you can
be.
get like Basquiat postcards at you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. You can get Basquiat anything now.
yeah, yeah.
Your
You can get
Basquiat Yeti.
a a
Got it.
Basquiat, a
Yeah.
Bas there probably is a Basquiat Yeti. There you're
Probably
probably
is.
not even wrong, dude. That's probably gross. Yeah. I
um
That's
So the
hilarious.
only other topic I had, which we already kind of spoke about, was who was uh little girl,
I should have
which
waited. I should have read the
it's fine.
topics.
Um, I just put him in. I was like thinking at the last second, like, whoa, what are we gonna do? I panicked. So I just put in the
That's
most
good.
obvious. So we already touched on that. Do you
Yeah,
have anything else that you wanna you wanna talk about?
I mean, I just love this fucking movie. I again, like I just think that we're very fortunate, right? Because I hear a lot of negative things about the movie industry nowadays, but like the fact that something like this can get made and like relatively low budget, a indie studio, you know what I mean? Like, but we got this, you know what I mean? Like this kind of stuff is great, and you know, I wish that I wish that all horror movies were this. I think like it's funny to me because like, I no man is an island and no podcast is an island either, but I exist in the horror space that we share, you know what I mean? And it's just funny to me because like there's definitely like people that like Night Swim and like the mainstream stuff and like specifically maybe not Night Swim, nobody liked Night Swim, but we watched that Amityville horror or no, excuse me. What's
Conjuring.
the Conjuring, The Conjuring. And we didn't
I
really
knew what
care
you were
for
saying.
that.
Yeah,
The Conjuring. Well, it's related to Amityville, right? Because they
yeah,
were also part
yeah,
of anyway. The Conjuring. We watched that and it wasn't very good. We didn't really care for it. But like it's funny to me because like this is my jam. Like
yeah.
give me the fucking independent weird ass experimental horror movies and you can take all that other like mainstream jump scare bullshit and just throw it in the garbage. Like again, today I just saw Immaculate and I was excited because it's produced by Neon or it's distributed by Neon. Neon generally puts out like pretty decent movies, usually like stuff like this. Like a couple of years ago, they put out Titan, which I think is like one of my favorite fucking movies in the last 10 years. And it's not that. It's a fucking, you could have put like Lionsgate could have put out Immaculate. That's what it felt like. It felt like a Blumhouse movie. It's all about jump
Really.
scares and it's a mile wide and an inch deep. There's nothing to it. And I was like, oh, that sucks. Because I don't care about the mainstream like movie like that stuff just doesn't interest
I
me.
think when you've seen as much horror as we have, especially
Sure,
you've
sure.
definitely seen more than I have, but you become desensitized
Oh,
to it,
absolutely.
like especially the jump scares, and you need another fix, and that fix is psychological horror.
Well, that
And
or just give me something that's like well made and like not trying to just appeal to like just like the cheapest thing possible. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like or
but
even like
I
go
think
back
this.
into
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry. No, no, no.
No, this jumps deep into both the trauma side that is
Oh
scary
yeah.
for a lot of people, but also like you got your fair share of gore. Like
You got
it's
your fair
there.
share of gore. It definitely has deeper themes. You don't have to have deeper themes nowadays to make a good movie, but also on a simple visual level, like on a simple like just like reactionary visual level, the horror derived from these fucking puppets is terrifying and scary and like that is good and this that you know what I mean like it's creative thinking like that that I want to see. I don't want to see like, oh, loud noise. Oh no, loud noise. Oh my god, like, oh, creepy kid in a basement.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Like, give me something where I actually have to think about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought when this movie's ended, with the credits roll in this movie, I still have questions about the movie. The ending, I think, is pretty ambiguous. And again, like we have questions about that egg, like
Egg.
what
What
that
the hell is the
represents.
egg? Yeah.
I don't understand really but again, like you got the egg metaphor with the poster, like there's definitely and there's death and rebirth themes throughout the movie, so it's something that I will crack.
Yeah. Nice.
I was proud of that
We
one.
I'm glad we
Yeah,
can yoke about it.
but there you go. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, give me more of this, or like if you're gonna be like I don't know. Like go back to something like that we watched a few weeks ago, From Beyond. Like that movie is like totally like lowbrow and ridiculous, but it's like gory and fun and like over the top. Like, give what my point is, give me something to sink my teeth into because I've
Yeah.
seen everything else. I need something to be interested in, you know?
Darker, more disturbing. Like TJ had mentioned before, not during this podcast, but Possum is another
Oh
deeply
yeah.
disturbing movie that you
If
could draw similar
oh yeah.
lines to. Like there's
This
some
the
parallels.
Possum and Stop Motion are basically sister films. They deal with it's weird actually how similar they are because they both deal with generational trauma. They both deal specifically with puppets, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I think like in Possum's case, I think the puppet metaphor is more dealing with also the trauma of being a child, like because it deals with like a lot of like icky
Use.
like child trauma abuse and stuff. But yeah, if you like this movie, definitely check out Possum or vice versa because I saw a lot of Possum in this film, and Possum is a movie I think is amazing. I think this movie is amazing. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's score time.
Okay.
Ugh, so gross. You got to make it out of something alive. Ew.
All right, you want to go first?
Sure. Um, it's a 10. It's a
I knew
10.
it.
You're
Yes.
right. I fucking love this movie. I think this movie is fucking amazing. I don't know if this technically this counts as a 2024 movie, but if it does, it will end up in my top 10 list by the end of the year. I cannot see how it won't end up in that list,
Yeah.
even though technically it's a 2023 movie. But man, I fucking love this thing. I think this movie's great. I'm gonna be recommending this movie for years to come. Like this is
Nice.
hey, I need something to watch that's like different. Watch this. Like it's so fucking good. And also you get the benefit of it being a foreign movie, but it's in English. So there you go. You can act cultured and still be in English. So there you go.
Yeah, it's an 8.3 for me.
It's
I
still a
really
very good score.
yeah, I really really enjoyed it, and I think this is one of those movies where if I go back again, I'll like it even more the second time.
It
Um
is a movie that benefits from a rewatch. Like
yeah.
I will say, like watching it the second time, you pick up a lot of like little cues that I missed the first time. So yeah, I definitely think this is a multiple viewing type movie.
This is
I
just
think
a
you'll
visual treat. You know, like this is
absolutely
just
yeah.
fun to watch. Um and definitely I would recommend this to certain friends who I know are in like the experimental camp.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, yeah, I loved it. Good call, TJ. So
Thank
what are
you.
we doing next week?
Next week we're going back to torture ourselves. We're we're gonna watch a movie. We're gonna oh well. So this you pulled the poster for the new one,
Oh, you wanted to do the even older
the
one. Okay,
older
see, you
one.
can tell TJ and I didn't really
We were well. We
we
always
weren't
come up with this stuff on the fly. It's
yeah.
fine. The so this is coming out. The reason why we're gonna do the first Strangers movie because this is coming out. Actually, you know what's
No, this
sad?
yeah, this
This is
is
the second
second
one.
one.
That's
Yeah.
there's been yeah, it's fucking crazy. So we're gonna go back and watch because there's a new Strangers movie that's coming out. That's a prequel because of course it is. It's called The Strangers Chapter One, and we're gonna go back to the beginning and watch the original.
Okay.
Just because it seems kind of topical. I didn't even know they made a second one. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
What does it say?
Um,
Let us pray.
Pray at Night.
Okay.
It's an awful title.
All right. Well, let me cover
But
that
yeah,
up then.
I don't think we've, and also the other reason I thought we should watch this, we haven't watched any of the fucking like home invasion horror movies, have we?
We one of the first movies we ever reviewed was Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh, there's a second one coming
I
out.
know. I can't believe. Well, I can
I
believe it.
saw, I saw the trailer for it, but it's not
There's a
like,
trailer.
yeah, oh yeah, it looks horrible.
Uh,
But you know, it's funny. You know, it's a bad movie. I mean, we saw the first one, so there was a trailer for it, but it was in the commercial section of when you. I don't know how long ago you've seen a movie, but there's commercials before the movie, then there's
right.
trailers. But the commercials they have those like Fathom events, which
Yeah.
are like special event screenings, and it's a Fathom event to see Winnie the Pooh too. Not it's not like a regular showing, so you know
Yeah.
it's good. Also, that production company announced like a whole slate of movies. There's like an evil Pinocchio movie coming out, an evil
Oh, this
Peter
is just gonna.
Pan.
It's gonna be their whole marketing. It's just gonna be behind public domain movies that we can now turn
Well,
into
they
horror films.
announced like I should have fucking it's called like the Twisted Universe or something.
Oh god. All right. I'm sure
But
we'll review
anyway,
it because we're
I don't
gluttons for
want to.
punishment.
I really don't want to.
We have to. I feel like we don't have a
Uh,
choice.
um,
This is what the
yeah.
people want.
But anyway, like home invasion movies were a thing for a while and they kind of died out. So it might be fun to visit that subject.
Yeah.
I like the fact in our show we do visit the various subgenres of
Yeah.
horror, and I feel like it's probably worth checking out.
I'm always game.
Oh yeah. So hold on. I I I pulled it up. So the Winnie the Pooh people, they are coming out with this is the least, like, this isn't even an AI generated name. It's just not creative. The Twisted Childhood Universe.
uh,
So you
so
got
we
Winnie the Pooh.
you
Hold
can
on.
bet on more movies.
Let me tell you no, they put a whole slate out. I'm going to tell you what the slate is.
Okay.
You got Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. I wonder
Hmm.
if they meant that rhyme. You got Bambi Reckoning. So I guess Bambi is gonna kill the guy that
That's
killed his
pretty funny.
mom.
Yeah.
Neverland Nightmare. So that's Peter Pan.
Yep.
Pinocchio Unstrung. That's an evil Pinocchio. And this is my personal favorite. And this is the final one that comes out in. So all of those movies I just named, they're coming out this year. All of
Wow.
those movies. Yeah. And then in 2025, they have Pooniverse Monsters Assemble.
Universe. Oh God. Let the porn parodies begin.
Pooniverse.
Oh. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. We'll watch every single one of those.
I kind of
Like,
want to watch the Bambi Reckoning one. I can't
yeah,
lie. I mean, that
yeah.
one's got to be pretty good. Anyway, I think that's the show. So
That's
next
it.
week, The Strangers. I remember not liking the movie at all, so it's going to be interesting to
So
revisit
this
it.
is the one with Rob McElhenney, or no?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's
he's
the
in the
one.
first
Okay.
one.
All right.
He's not in it for very long. He's
Yeah.
only in it for like a scene.
Okay.
But I remember back then it was like everything was like a home invasion movie. It was like a
Yeah.
very popular subgenre for a little bit there. Um, Ironically, in my personal opinion, at least where I'm sitting right now, there's only one good one of those movies, and it was kind of making fun of those movies, and that is Your Next, which I love. I don't know if you've ever seen Your Next, but
Yep.
it's kind of subversion of the home invasion movie. Also, a
Um,
movie where Ty West dies, and I wish, I'm always a fan of that because I hate that
and
guy's movies.
you forgot your personal favorite, which you've told me many times, The Purge,
Hmm.
1 through 4.
You know what? One of those isn't bad. I can't remember which
Actually,
one.
the original is very disappointing, but
The
I think
original
it's
sucks.
number
I think
3 or 4 was actually pretty good.
the one with what's his name? He looks like John Bernthal. I can't remember. He's got like that gruff New Yorker face. Frank Grillo, that's his name.
Oh yeah,
There's one with Frank Grillo that's actually kind of good,
yeah.
but
Is
it's
that
not
the
even like a
Patriot
horror
one,
movie.
like the with the American
No, I
flag
think it's
cover?
like the second or third one. I can't remember. Anyway, it was more like an action movie than like a horror movie. I remember it being decent. I don't remember it being good. I remember it being like I didn't hate watching that. Anyway, it's
All
let's
right,
go.
that's it.
Bye everybody.
See ya.
This is